Hey guys, iAnnihilate here, also known as Danny. Puck's been one of my favorite heroes in this patch. If I even look at my recent win rates, today was a pretty bad day of Dota, but let's go month, heroes. Puck's been pretty good for me for the past while. One of my most played heroes in the patch. Crownfall came out today. It was just Arcanas, so I was going to wait till like the new patch to do this, but now is a better time than ever since there wasn't a gameplay update. This is going to be similar in style to the Ember guide I made earlier. I'll have a link to that as well in the description probably. So first off, we're just going to start with abilities. So I will find the in-game guide. Where is it again? Guides, Puck, guide builder maybe? There we go. So I will put this in the description. I'll also have a link to it on my Twitch channel and stuff, but this has... I haven't published it yet, but this has a little overview, item builds, very similar to the Ember style, where core items in order, situational items, luxury items, we'll be going over all of it, and it's available in-game. I think you can find it on the workshop or through the link in the description, or in the browser guide section. I'm not sure if this is like prioritized by upvotes in some way, but yeah, it'll all be available. So, hey guys, just a friendly reminder, if you like this kind of content, I plan on making a lot more content in the future, so go ahead, leave a comment for suggestions, feedback for future content, or, simply subscribe. Thanks a lot. Has a pretty low cooldown, even lower if you have an Octarine core or something. And this is also your main way of farming, so something simple, let me put on free spells even, is I can orb these two camps at the same time. Very simple. If I go middle, I should have used free spells. I can QW a wave, it's very great. Hero farms very quickly. The silence actually jumps you a little forward like this, and it does a pretty long silence. The base is 2 and it goes up to 3.5. Doesn't do the most damage in the early game until the talent. Even then, the orb does a little bit more damage. But it's very nice to go like down a cliff or up a cliff or dodging spells even if your other spells are cooldown. Phase shift, so something I wanted to showcase. The only reason Disruptors here is very popular right now. You get glimpsed, you can phase shift dodge it. Very nice. Oh, I don't have the Agnes in my inventory. Okay. Coil. So this Storm has ulti. If I coil him, he'll get rooted in place. He can't ult away. If he breaks the coil, he'll get stunned for an additional amount. And then that was the Axe effect. It makes you auto attack at 90% of your attack speed, everyone who gets coiled. So if I get a really big one on all three of these, does a lot of damage. This is what makes Puck scale so well right now. Even before the Aghanim was added, he was one of the most dangerous late-game heroes, in my opinion, for mid, just because of how invincible he can be. So even without free spells, if some hero auto-attacks me... Oh, sorry, I didn't... And my blink goes on cooldown, I can phase shift, and I'll always get blink away. Something you want to keep in mind is you want to be facing the right direction, so if Quap is hitting me like this, and I want to blink backwards, I will have to turn. So you might have to watch that in slow motion on YouTube or something, but your hero has to turn in order to blink, so you can see there's a little bit of delay there. Whereas if I face forward and blink, it's instant. So something to keep in mind is try to like turn before you phase shift. So if I want to blink, let's say, towards the rune and I'm going this way, I want to turn first and then blink in the direction I turned. And I can pick up a nice shield rune. That's about it for the ability overview. So next thing I want to talk about when you want to pick Puck. So I think Puck can pretty much slot into any game. There are some problem matchups, and I'll pull these up on the screen in this tab instead. Stuff you don't want to lane against. Sniper. Generally high physical damage heroes. I think Puck versus Pango is a very skill-based matchup. Very difficult to play against Pango in lane if he's getting every Q and W on you, because he does do physical, and you start with 0 armor. So if I reset my Puck here, I have 0 armor, 49 damage. It's not that much. Even if I get all of my starting items, I'm at 1 armor, maybe 1.5. 1.3, there it is. 7% physical resist is not great. In contrast, let me show you what Storm's starting stats are with the same items. So Storm would start with 58 damage and 5 armor, which is much better than Puck's. So even a little bit of a damage increase too. So a little bit of a tip you want to kind of practice as well is timing your spells with your auto attacks. So right when the auto attack's about to land, I want to Q and W at the same time. Or I want to orb and attack at the same time if I can. So something like that, or yeah, you get the idea. So typically, and I have written down the guide here as well for all of you, you want to be leveling Q whenever you can, level 1, 3, 5, 7. You want to get phase shift level 2. Or sorry, I'm still talking about heroes. What am I talking about? I'm going to do this in one take. I'm not going to cut that out, but basically what you're looking for is kind of enemy heroes more so than your heroes. It's going to be fine with whatever your team picks a lot of the time. Puck does a little bit of everything. It has catch, a silence, damage, can scale really well into the late game. Things you worried about is the laning phase, like I said, because very bad base stats. You're not going to have a good time against Sniper. You're not going to have a good time against TA. Even Monkey King can give you some trouble. Ember Spirit with the Sleight of Fists. Kunkka can be some trouble. Tiny can be some trouble. Ironically, people like to pick Puck against heroes like Necro or Lina or even like Leshrac sometimes, or Zeus, heroes that you can easily dodge their spells with phase shift in the lane. So like your little invulnerability, you can dodge the Dragon Slaves, you can dodge the Crypt Swarms and stuff like that. Or against Queen of Pain especially, you can dodge the Scream of Pains. So I can dodge that one. Very good against mobility heroes as well. So I love playing this against Faceless Void. You can't time walk during coil, then you can silence them after. Same thing with Storm Spirit, same thing with Quap. Also, I'm not a big fan of Puck against Disruptor, partially just because of the AoE silence. But it isn't bad, like, because if Disruptor, again, tries to glimpse me, I can phase shift and it won't actually glimpse me. Same thing with Spirit Breaker. I'm not the biggest fan of playing Puck versus Spirit Breaker because they might get vision of me if I'm trying to split or something. But very, very telegraph spells, right? You can dodge those quite easily. And then stuff you can combo with. It's basically going to help your carry the most. Like Monkey King ult with coil is nice. Gyro hitting everybody with your coil is nice. Not the greatest with heroes like Pudge or Mirana that want like more clean setup like a Searing Chains. But it's still pretty good for Pudge to just run in there when people are coiled. Same thing with like a Slark. He doesn't really need the coil, but it's nice for him to save his pounces and stuff like that. And like I said, you're pretty much going to be fine with anything your team picks. Mostly you want to be concerned about your lane. Now, back to what I was saying about the skill build. The one deviation you can make in the skill build is you can sometimes get silence at level 2 if you're pushing a lot of damage on them and you're actually winning your lane. Or if you want an extra way to CS and you don't really need the phase shifts, like some melee heroes like Dragon Knight, you might want to have 2 nukes to secure some CS. If you're not confident at phase shifting the fire breaths, that can be a little hard to dodge. Trying to think of another melee hero, like even Tiny, you might not really need phase shift. You can dodge the tree throw, and that's about it. But for the most part, you can't really go wrong with max Q, 1 in phase shift, then max W, get your ult at 6, get the talent at level 10, this helps you farm. Best early game spell for farming. So if I go with the standard level 7 build here, standard level 8 build, and then 10, sorry. I will one-shot these range creeps with the talent. Maybe not at this, but no, definitely. Which makes it really nice at level 10. Same thing at level 11. We're like 15 minutes into the game right now, so these aren't the same as like how early it would normally be. With both spells, you one-shot the wave. Makes it very hard for you to get caught on Puck. Very simple gameplay. Typically, you want to farm with the orb more so than the rift because it does more damage, especially with the talent. But killing creep waves really fast, you really can't go wrong with that. Other than that, when I'm farming neutrals, I'm pretty much exclusively using orb. So, other than that, in the skill build, you're going to max phase shift before level 2 coil and before your talents. So at level 14, it should look something like this. And the reason is because with Blink Dagger, which will be one of the items you're going to prioritize, you need max phase shift to secure the blink away when you get attacked. So it's like the coil level 2 adds a little bit of damage, the mana cost goes up, the cooldown doesn't, and the stun and the break damage goes up. Not as big a deal as just being able to get away with your phase shift, or like a lot of the times, even just a max range orb. A lot of times you're going to be blinking in, WE, or WQE, and then getting out when your orb is far enough away. And it is definitely worth skipping points in your other stuff until then. Even here, sometimes I like coil level 2, sometimes I like waning rift damage. Honestly, the rift bit damage is going to be more consistent. This is a 13-second cooldown versus a 75-second cooldown. So, I don't know. If they do have a lot of heroes like Storm and Faceless Void where the coil goes up in value a lot, like they're breaking it as soon as you coil them, then I think leveling it's good. Most of the time people just kind of sit there like a bot in your coil waiting for it to end, even though it's 6 seconds instead of breaking it right away. But yeah. And then after that, pretty straightforward stuff. At 20, you're going to grab the Rift cooldown, and then it'll make it the same cooldown pretty much as your Orb. Orb's going to be 1 less second. They nerfed the cooldown recently on Waning Rift. And then always take Dream Coil Pierce's debuff immunity this patch, simply because Aghanim's is so powerful like we saw earlier.
I proceed.
So item builds can be a little crazy on these heroes like Puck and Ember, and I've tried to break it down as easily as I could in the guide here. So I have early game laning, you're going to want Bottle, then you're going to want Treads. Treads is the best early game item in Dota pretty much. One of the most cost effective items in all of the game. Null Talisman can be okay in some matchups. It's a bit optional. I would say to skip this until you're really confident at Puck and you're getting a lot better at laning. I would say buy Null Talisman if you're winning your lane as like a luxury thing. Other than that, just skip it. I tend to finish Wand and or Raindrops. Sometimes you can skip the Raindrops after Treads. Sometimes I get the Raindrops in the stick before Treads. It really depends on what you're against. Against bursty heroes where every HP matters, the Raindrop's going to help a ton, especially, and the Magic Stick. You're going to, like with all three of these items, the Wand, Raindrop, and Power Treads, you're going to have almost like 500 to 600 extra HP in a long engagement, which is amazing on a squishy hero like Puck. And then as far as these core items go, you're going to want to finish Witchblade first. It is by far the best item on Puck. You actually have, like, normally you cast all your spells on somebody, they just run away from you when you play Puck. When you finish Witchblade, you're going to get this off twice a lot of the time. And even if just getting it off once typically, like, results in a solo kill, especially on low HP heroes or supports. It just completely pushes your kill potential over the edge. Without it, you feel really weak at around 15 minutes or so. But this really gets you over the hurdle. Plus, it's just a great item right now. Attack speed, int, mana regeneration, a little bit of armor on a low armor hero never hurts. Helps you farm, helps you get kills. Amazing. Blink, like I said, you kind of want to get Blink by the time your phase shift is maxed, that level 13 or 14 mark or so. The other thing about it is it'll just help you get in for those kills on the sides too. Every time you have coil up, you kind of want to be going for a kill. Shard, I've been a lot higher on. Actually, I'll have to edit that because I wrote 30 instead of 35. But this 35 bonus damage is not just when you press phase shift and it hits everything. It's on every auto attack, and it works on towers. So you basically have a double damager on towers because magic damage is treated a lot differently on tower armor. It actually like pretty much does pure damage. Very, very good item. The only times I would skip the shard before Parasma is if I'm going for one of these situational items, which I'll talk about in a bit. But typically, like, if I'm unbothered by the enemy team, Witchblade, Blink, Ag Shard, Parasma, Ags, Mjolnir, if I can get all those items without having to buy any of these situational items, I'm very happy. Now we move on to situational items. Orchid is extremely popular this patch. It's also the best item people tend to buy against Puck. It's a very cheap way of silencing and catching him. All of your escapes rely on the fact that you can cast your spells. You know, Phase Shift secures your Blink, your Orb lets you jump away, even your Rift lets you jump away a bit. So always try to get a Yules if they have like 2 Orchids, or even just 1 Orchid sometime, or some way of silencing you, or something you really need to dispel, like a really long route. Something like Naga Siren comes to mind, where she has the net and the Orchid. Kaya Sange, on the other hand, I tend to buy this, and usually I would buy these before the shard a lot of the time, just to keep that in mind. Like, it'd be right after Blink, or sometimes even before Blink if I really need to dispel. There's a very few games as well where I bought Kaya Sange before Blink. The other items I have not bought before Blink, like Linken's or BKB. But typically these would slot in somewhere like here or here, just to give you an idea. And Kaya Sange, great against Tiny or Nick, something that needs to like combo you out, and every point of HP will matter, and every point of time for their CC chain will matter. Or if they have a bunch of chain stuns, that's the only way they can kill you. Like, the only way they can kill you is Lion spells and do a Sven stun, and you know, this will make it really hard for them to chain combo you. That's great. I tend to skip this a lot of the time this patch, but it is a very good item. I tend to favor just getting more of these core items faster, but it is what it is. Linken's very similar. If they have Fiend's Grip, Wyvern Curse, Hexes, or other instant single target catch, you know, pretty good against Doom as well, so you don't have to worry about holding your other defensive cooldowns for them. Very good purchase. I tend to buy this a lot more than Kaya Sange these days, even, because I'm typically more worried about, like, a natural progression for the enemy team is, okay, they have an Orchid, I buy a Yules. Okay, they have a Hex, I buy a Linken's, and they're almost always going to try and buy a Hex for you at some point. Next, we have BKB. If they have, like, all of the above, they have Doom, Hex, Orchid, like, just everything. I don't want to have Linken's, Kaya Sange, and Yules in my inventory, really. I'll probably just buy a BKB and maybe one of these other ones. BKB can be great if they have, like, Global Silence. Like, you have Yules, they have Global Silence and Orchids and stuff. Just kind of a way to deal with all of the bullshit. I don't buy it too often, but when I do, it's just because they have so much CC, and you do a lot of damage even during the BKB. It's not ideal, but yeah. Travels is just more of a late game thing. Your shard actually makes you split push towers pretty quickly. You can shove lanes instantly with your 2 spells, like we was talking about earlier. And Rapier is just we're losing, it's 60 minutes in, panic, I have Aghanims. It's going to make my coil do a lot of damage. Luxury item-wise, Octarine Core. This is an amazing item on Puck. Like, if you don't have to buy too many situational items, I love getting Octarine Core. I mean, who doesn't like 25% cooldown reduction? You're just going to do 25% more damage, pretty much. You're going to have more coils. Refresher, pretty much, if you need to do all the damage, a lot of times Refresher is going to be better than a Rapier, so you can have 2 coils. Maybe they have BKB or Wind Waker for your first coil, and then you just coil them again. Very similar to kind of like double Chronosphere or any other type of nonsense like that. Just makes it really hard for them to itemize against you. Wind Waker, one of the best items in Dota past 50 minutes. There's a reason why in like Overthrow, everyone's 6-slotted with a Wind Waker. 13-second cooldown and invulnerability. This and Phase Shift, you're basically invincible. You're just going to live forever and kill everything. Red Blink I used to like a lot more on Puck, because, again, especially with Kaya Sange, it'd just be really hard to burst down and CC. But the lower cooldown on Arcane Blink actually helps a lot, and you restore a lot of HP and mana over time in a fight. So I tend to just get this more often than the other Blink these days. Neutral items, I don't really have them in the guide, but I thought I'd go over them really quickly. You have, in Tier 1, I'm looking at Arcane Ring, Fairy Trinket, Seeds of Serenity, and Safety Bubble can be great against those bursty heroes. Royal Jelly's fine. And then anything that really gives you damage after that is okay. In this tier, you're looking for the Grove Bow. You love the Grove Bow. If there's no Grove Bow, you like the Specialist Array. If there's neither of those, I like Dragon Scale. The Whisper of the Dread is okay. Vambrace if I need to. People's Gift will make you tankier. And everything else after that, like, you're just hoping maybe for Bullwhip for some mana regen. There really isn't too many good options. If you do have the Grove Bow, you're usually skipping the tier 3 neutrals too. Quiver can be good if you like want to poke a bit more from far away. It gives the same attack range as the Grove Bow, but honestly, the lowered magic resistance is so good since your Shard and Coil will hit everything with it. So in here, like, let's say you didn't get Grove Bow and you got one of the lesser tier 2 items. I'm looking at maybe the Nemesis Curse. I like the Paladin Sword. I like the Dandelion Amulet. Obviously, the Quiver is great. It's basically like a worse version of the Grove Bow. And maybe the Ogre Seal Totem, and that's really about it. Tier 4, you can consider getting rid of Grove Bow now for Timeless Relic, maybe the Stormcrafter or the Mindbreaker. Sometimes the Ancient Guardian and like a, you know, we're looking to fight in our base or the enemy base type of game. Other than that, it's maybe some survivability like the Trickster Cloak or some catch with a Ninja Gear. But normally you're going to keep the Grove Bow over a lot of the other stuff that isn't like Timeless Relic or Mindbreaker at this point. And then Tier 5, isn't there more Tier 5 items in this? Let me check in the shop here. That looked like so few. Yeah, so at Tier 5, maybe the Magic Lamp in some games. Mirror Shield is great. Seer Stone can be okay. The Deso is great with your Coil. Having extra boots if you don't have a boot slot anymore. The attack speed on your Coil is great. Really, a lot of the stuff here is fine. But yeah, that about wraps up this part of the guide. Let me know if you have any questions about that. And I'm going to try and throw in like a fast-forwarded example game from one of my games, and I'll just be talking about my items decisions or my gameplay decisions on Puck. Thanks for watching. Alright guys, this is going to be an example game for Puck. I tried to find a recent game I thought that was a bit more even and not like a stomp either way. There was another comeback game I considered, but this should give a pretty good example. I'm against one of the soft counter. I wouldn't say like Tiny's like the #1 counter to Puck or something. But this is a game where both their supports don't really CC me in a good way. So like CM Root does stop me from orbing away, but my phase shift is longer than it. Toss and Avalanche are great ways of CCing Puck, but it's pretty hard to roar a Puck. And Venomancer obviously has nothing for Puck. So overall, a pretty good Puck game. The only thing I have to worry about is the Tiny combo. And I actually like Puck a lot against Anti-Mage as well. Parasma and like Grove Bow reduces magic resistance a lot, and the Coil is really hard for them to deal with, and the Silence. So we're just gonna watch this game a bit fast-forwardy. I'll fast forward to anything that's of note, obviously, and I'll talk a bit about the laning phase. So something you should get used to is a lot of heroes are just going to do more damage than you level 1. I try to, like against a Tiny or a Primal, I'll try to just pull the waves back into my tower or something, get them out of Tiny's way, just aggro back and CS away from him so I don't get denied. A lot of times you're just going to be right-clicking them as well. And it's going to be kind of stressful to play these early waves, because like this is when you're weakest. Level 1 on Puck, pretty much. Level 3 doesn't feel so bad, and level 5 is okay, but Tiny's combos do a lot of damage to you. So using the range, using my orb to CS the range creep here, even losing some HP to do it, which I don't mind. And you can see just how much the tree even hurts me. But getting these, with like getting a full wave without getting denied is amazing as Puck. I know I missed 1 CS, but getting to level 2 is great. And the goal for me is to get to level 3, because it's really hard for him to deny any range creeps once I'm level 3. And now that I'm level 3, lane is kind of in my favor. At level 3, I can also use my orb to harass a lot more, and not so much just for CSing. If I can, I'd like to do both. But yeah, it makes it really hard for him to deny me at this point. So at this point, I don't think the Tiny could win the lane. He can maybe kill me at level 5, and I'm just farming. I know my CS is low. Bear with me. But I'm ahead on XP, which is fine for me, honestly. The puck life. And you can see me doing this again. I aggro back the wave. This is something you should get used to on puck and Pango as well. In these harder matchups, or matchups where you can't just like trade with them as much. Aggro back, nuke from really far away, and just chill. Straight farm. There are definitely times where you can win your lane on puck and out CS them. It's going to be through skill. It's not going to be so much that like puck is a winning hero in the matchup, because like base stats wise, you're just not that strong. Very good hero if you can manage to go even in your lane a lot. Something I didn't mention earlier as well is you can sometimes stack this camp with orb. If you do it in the daytime like now, it's going to be kind of obvious I'm going for that later, and I'd rather just use my resources for laning, but they're just poking each other a lot. And I've already pretty much caught up in CS. I know I'm still like 6 behind, but as long as that's not growing, I'm kind of okay. And this is another problem. A lot of times at level 5 on puck is when I want to start using my orb to harass. But if he just dumps his combo on me, I'm going to lose so much health. It's definitely the problem with this matchup. So this match I'm going to buy Raindrop and Stick just to stay alive. As long as I don't die to Tiny, I will eventually outfarm him and outscale him. Now, if Tiny gets super far ahead of me, I'm going to get one comboed the entire game, and it's going to feel really bad. Same thing kind of with like a Nyx. I'm sure a lot of you have played against a Nyx before with like Dagon 5 really fast, so just one-shotting you. But if it's a Nyx with a Dagon 1, you're probably going to live, right? So not letting these heroes get ahead is a big deal. And something you guys just saw as well is when you have your first coil, a lot of the times asking your supports to kill mid if it's possible is good, or like going for a kill mid. Until you have boots, I wouldn't teleport to gank somewhere else, but you do have that option if you get boots first. Something I didn't mention in the guide for items is I like to get either the glove or the +6 item first, just to help CSing, since CSing is so tough on this character. And boots is for when I'm looking to move around. So I do have enough for boots now, which I will get.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
But you're trying, like, the bread and butter way to play puck. Try to go for a kill every time coil is up. It syncs up with your TP cooldown as well, which is nice. And just farm in the meantime. Just farm as much as you can.
Dire are scanning.
So now that I'm level 7, I can double farm these two camps. If I was on Dire, it'd be these ones, which is kind of annoying. You can honestly farm these two on Dire and Puck. Puck is a bit of an exception for that, but I don't need to sit in lane against Tiny. I really don't want to sit in lane and get comboed. I'll go reset to base. I think I had looked around earlier, but if I didn't, you should always look for a kill somewhere. Like maybe I could have TP'd on this Veno. That might have been better, actually. That might have been a bit of a mistake. I'm not sure. Maybe I could have TP'd top and killed the anti-mage. It's something you want to consider. Also, like, basically how Dota works right now is you want to be able to contest 6-minute, 7-minute, 8-minute, and 10-minute runes. That's kind of your job as a mid or a support a lot of the time. An 8-minute rune is spawning, so maybe the team had called for that. So I do get the 8-minute rune. Tiny doesn't. That's good for me. They go for a kill on me. Doesn't work out. Now we get to turn it around. And now I feel like the game should be pretty easy from here on out, honestly. It looks tough. Like, look how farmed Anti-Mage and Beastmaster are. But I feel very confident in being able to solo carry this game as Puck, unless Anti-Mage gets too far out of control. when it comes to the Witchblade, try to prioritize either the Sage's Mask if you're a little poor, or the super attack speed item. Helps you just, it's just for farming. Got the DD rune, another quick kill. And I didn't have to move around that much this game. A lot of the action was just around my lane, which is, it's nice, but it's not always going to be the case. And honestly, the lower in MMR you are, you're probably not going to see too many supports coming to every rune and fighting over this. You want to focus a lot of your attention on these side lanes. I would have much preferred to have killed Beastmaster at some point in this game, or Anti-Mage, than to kill the Tiny, if that makes sense. Little dunk on the Veno, go back to base. I come out of the base and Coil's pretty much up already as well. Very low cooldown, high pace hero. One of the most fun heroes to play, honestly. We go for a smoke. I think we kill Anti-Mage here. Yeah. And this is another reason why, I mean, we didn't have to use the Coil, but Coil or Grip would have got him here. The silence led into the Grip, so he didn't, reflect it. But against these Faceless Voids, against these Anti-Mages, you're going to have a really good time playing Puck. I don't remember where that guy went, to be honest. Now we're setting up on the Beastmaster. And like I said, and I want to really drive this point home. This is something I drive home a lot when I'm coaching people. Try to focus on the side lane cores a lot more than killing the mid laner. Even if you're in a counter matchup, like your Huskar against Ember, you probably beat him up so bad in lane, he doesn't need to get beaten up some more. Beating up on these side lane heroes, they farm so fast in current Dota, and they're going to be much farther away from their team. It's very easy for everyone to TP mid and start a big brawl. How hard is it right now for Venomancer to get to this Beastmaster? How hard is it for Tiny to walk over from mid to the Beastmaster? Even if he was up here, it's still pretty hard for them, right? So there's going to be much higher percentage kills, and they're usually worth a lot of gold. Also, there's an example of me dying to the Tiny combo, but it just leads to more situations as well where they chain feed, because it's the distance for them to help their team is so far, they run in one by one. Diving mid can be a disaster. It's basically the lesson. It's what the Tiny did earlier with the Veno, right? And they all died. So Witchblade is a good timing to smoke. There's been plenty of games where I even get it earlier than this. You really want it between 12 to 15 minutes, the latest. Anything earlier than that is bonus, and when you have it, every time you have Coil, it should lead to a kill somewhere. So this is going to be a bit of a crazy fight. And something important, play around your cooldowns. I go to try and steal this kill, but I can wait for my silence, I can wait for my orb, I can wait for my next Witchblade. I don't have to just sit there attacking. You really just want to be poking in and out of the fight. So I lost a lot of HP there and actually didn't get the Tiny. But just keep that in mind when you're playing Puck. Your damage will come from your cooldowns, not so much your auto attacks. If you're going for a solo kill, auto attack while you can, but in team fights, don't let yourself get low on HP. So I had to go back to, if I was just chilling and didn't go back into the fight there, I would still be full HP, I wouldn't have to go back to base, and I wouldn't be scared of Tiny one-shotting me. I also went for the safety bubble in this game because of the Tiny matchup as well. So preserve your resources when you're playing Puck. You can get 3 or 4 combos off in a long fight. But if you're going in at half HP, all it takes is 1 stun to kill you. This is a game as well. I talked about this in the guide part of the video. I'm going to go Kai'San's this game before Blink. We have a Blink on Legion already. We have a lot of catch, honestly. And I just don't want to die to this Tiny combo. That's the only thing that can kill me. I think I don't finish the whole Kai'San, but I just get the Sange and then a Blink, I think. I don't remember. It's been a few days, but perfect example, like Tiny or Nyx type heroes. Go for another kill on Anti-Mage here. This time we do end up using the Coil, and keep in mind, this Anti-Mage was what, 5 or 6k net worth at 10 minutes, and we've slowed him down a lot. The way to beat these heroes like Anti-Mage or Void isn't really to kill them a lot in the lane. That's a great win condition. But once they finish Battle Fury, if you kill them once or twice, they're dead for much longer. Much longer. So I'm going to fast forward a decent amount until I have all my items. From here on out, it's just going to be the same old, same old. I might even mess up a few times. But I'm gonna just super fast forward until I have blink pretty much. See how you can cast the spells with the blink dagger and stuff like that. Okay, so blink and max phase shift. Like I said, now I should be in theory invincible until Anti-Mage has like Abyssal Blade or something, or they buy Hex. This game they didn't buy any Orchids, which is nice too. And I'm just a menace with this blink. I think AM gets away here, yeah. I think, yeah, I even go Shard before Kaya. I love the Shard, especially against heroes like Beastmaster. So a lot of the time before the Shard, you'd have to like blink, coil, Waning Rift, orb, attack to get your Witchblade off, and then phase shift into your orb. Now you can skip that long attack in that combo and just pretty much instantly cast all three of your spells, phase shift, and it hits everything on the screen and procs your Witchblade on one hero. It won't proc them on all, but it's good enough. As well as it just does a lot of building damage, and that's like a nice bonus. Adds, and again, like I have it written down, but it adds 35 damage to every attack, not just the ones where you phase shift. Try not to use the phase shift as a damage thing unless you have to either. You really want to hold this to secure a blink or to dodge some spells in prolonged fights. Hopefully we get to like a long team fight here, and then I'll probably cut to towards the end of the cave. Okay, this might be a good example. Let me back up a few ticks. So we're smoked up. I got all the items I need. And then I'll head into the Parasma and the Agnums after. I don't think I go for a Link in this game. So honestly, I think I could have casted my spells a little better here. I could have sat in my phase shift earlier and maybe got to the orb away to get the root on me. But I'm quite tanky, so if I'm full HP, I'm not going to care too much. Just playing on the outskirts of the fight. Go into my phase shift. I'm going to blink away. Orbing away and just kiting. I think we end up losing this fight, but that's okay. You really do not want to die on this hero. You scale pretty well and pretty quickly, but deaths push you back a lot. It's this like weird dynamic where like 1 or 2 deaths and all of a sudden they build items that can help kill you even easier, like a Hex or Orchid. Whereas if you like never die in a perfect world, you're always like 1 item ahead of their kill potential, which feels really good. So I don't know if more heroes are coming, so I sat in my phase shift for as long as I could. You want to get in the habit of that. Kind of like the way you would play Weaver, where you Sakuchi as far as you can, and then when it's about to end, you start attacking, so that your next Sakuchi's off cooldown faster while you're still moving fast. You can farm Ancients pretty quick on this hero too, even without the Shard. Once you have Treads and Witchblade, don't be afraid to be farming Ancients if no one else is. So, again, I am pass running it. So I'm kiting this Anti-Mage, who's probably going to kill the Bane. You want to focus supports first a lot of the time, or the heroes with disables. This guy's not dying. Where's... Oh, Anti-Mage died somewhere. I didn't even see that. I guess Legion got him. But yeah. Always keep your distance and just try to stay alive and just poke. Let's try to get one Ag showcase. I don't remember if we even end here. There's no way. You can see, like, I don't remember where my last death was. I don't remember if it was to the Tiny or some different time. But really prioritizing my life in the fights. Not trying to trade my life away for anything. Just see how fast you can farm too. And this Aghanims is kind of your second timing, especially with the 25 talent where they just can't escape it. The only thing that really counters the Ags, Ghost Scepter helps a little bit sometimes. It's rare to see that, is people usually get Yules into Wind Waker as a way to deal with the coil. Before that, they just BKB run out of it a lot of the time, but... And the coil is just gonna, even when they break it, and I want you guys to like look and pay attention to this. Something a lot of people don't know either. I'll play it at half speed when I blink in. The coil is still attacking him, even though he broke the coil. Which is why this 25 talent is nuts. Because even if they BKB break the coil, it doesn't help them at all. If they get far enough away from the coil, out of the attack range, I think, then they're fine. But breaking the coil is not good enough. And then yeah, next I'm just going to get Mjolnir, very straightforward game. So a lot of the times this patch, this Kai'Sanj will probably end up being a Yules, or in some cases a BKB, and very rarely a Linken's. But this tends to be my progression, and again, why I have these other items in the luxury section is because I always pretty much have like a Yules or Kai'Sanj. I can't afford to go an Octarine in slot-wise. When you can eat the Aghanim Scepter, of course, you get Octarine or Refresher, or even just another damage item like a Daedalus or something. But typically you're forced into a Yules. Or like this game, I got slowed down a bit. I got forced into the Sanj by the Tiny Pick. Stuff like that. And this game is about to wrap itself up. We pretty much got this in the bag. If you guys have any questions or what you'd want to see next video, I think Leshrac is kind of what I've decided on, but I'm not 100%. It's definitely in the works. Please let me know, and if you made it to the complete end of the video like this, write something cool in the comments, like let's have a secret code or something. Just type in bread. Just type in bread at the end of your message, like Wonder Bread. That'll be the secret code for those that have got to the end of the video. No one else will know what's going on but us. And yeah, hope you guys have a nice day, and hopefully the real gameplay patch comes out soon, but enjoy the Crownfall skins that came out today. That's when I'm recording this. And take it easy.